Helen with you at 10 to 2. Text lines are open. We'd love to hear from you, love to help you. You can be anonymous. And if you've just tuned in and want to catch up on, we've been talking about ghost jobs and talking LinkedIn now. Podcast will be available just after the show. We've been talking about job hunting and how sometimes it feels like just shouting into the void. Ghost listings, high competition, slow responses. We've been talking about flipping the question. Instead of chasing every job, how do you become the candidate that companies are actively looking for? Wanda is with us, the founder of Kaltan Training Consultancy. She is a LinkedIn expert, personal branding specialist, and she works with professionals across the UAE and beyond to help them stand out and get noticed for the right reasons. Had a number of questions and messages for you, Wanda. We're going to try and help as many people as possible on air as you do online. Noel saying, any advice for polite follow-ups to connections and messages on LinkedIn? We were talking before, it's not just about posting jobs, it's about reaching out and making, meaningful connections and networking online. But at what point, if there's someone that you really, really want to connect with, do you go, hi, it's me again?
I did that because there's one position I really love. It's about training in a consulting firm. And, it's very weird. They interviewed me, they did not come back. And then I saw the post after a few months. So I politely went to the head. Actually, I think the CEO. I said,
Of course you did.
Of course I did. I mean, that's the thing, Helen. Nobody and no one is stopping you from doing something. As Emily said, you should be business developing yourself, right? Mm-hmm. Because if you're confident in yourself, people will confident to work with you. So I asked politely this person to say, thank you because I saw this job. I actually got interviewed for it. Never heard about the results, but I saw this being posted again. So can you please tell me, is this really a job that's currently available, or you're just pipelining? Mm-hmm. Right? And he responded. He actually apologized. So he actually explained how they were trying to do something, but they changed plans, so they closed and opened again. But he was very apologetic of why that person didn't come back to me, because there's a lot of frustration, right, when you do something and then nothing comes back.
Well, I've had a message from a number of listeners, but one in particular stood out, which was Isabella saying, I've sometimes I don't get notified if I got the job. I've done an interview, I've done a task for 6 hours, I give them my time, my effort, and I don't hear back. I've left LinkedIn after not seeing results. Many potential employers would show interest and then I'd never hear from them again, which is really demotivating, isn't it? But as you say, no one's coming to save us. And that is like my big realization as an adult. I'm like, oh, I've got to do this myself. Oh. So for you, though, it wasn't a case of necessarily following up on LinkedIn. Sometimes it's finding a workaround, a personal email address, who you know, that kind of thing. But I think, as Emily said as well, sometimes we see a message, we might read it fleetingly and then we're on to the next thing. And you might not have been actively ignored. Someone's just moved on to the next thing. So to bring it back to their attention in a polite way is more than acceptable, I think. Beyond LinkedIn, and I know this is your platform of choice, Wanda, what else do you think candidates could be doing to increase their chances in the job market right now when it comes to networking or upskilling, direct outreach we've been talking about? How do you advise people in this busy place?
I think first is about clarity. Every person is unique. What is that unique edge that you have? And what do you really want? Because the moment you're clear who you are, what do you want, it's easy to go for that job that you wanted. I mean, I've had executives I work with, they didn't even apply for the job. Because the moment you have that clarity, it's like, you are here and there. But the moment you said, I just want a job, then it becomes chaotic, right? But with clarity comes clear actions, and the right people will find you. Like one of the clients I work with, she just liked the company page, because on LinkedIn, everybody gets notified. This person followed your page, this person liked her post. And on LinkedIn, very few people comment, follow the page. So the moment you did something, everybody gets notified. So they notice you.
How long should you be spending on LinkedIn per week if you are actively job seeking, if you are really determined to land a role, rather than doing a scattergun approach of like apply, being strategic about your time on that platform?
I'll say 15 minutes a day will really do a lot of things for you. It's not also about posting a lot of things. Engaging is actually more powerful. So maybe some CEO posted something, comment on that, but give an insightful comment. I mean, I saw now a lot of people commenting, but it's it's so obvious it's AI. So that itself questions your credibility, right? So why not speak from your mind? If you do have grammatical errors, maybe have it checked, but never use AI for that. I mean, at the end of the day, it's your credibility at stake when you show up.
That takes the pressure off, I think, because a lot of people feel like they've got to be posting, got to be creating all the time. But by staying top of mind to people who are influential, who are those creators on LinkedIn, your name becomes more familiar. It's an easier in. That's not to say you shouldn't post, but sometimes we don't know what to post. So how do you advise there in terms of a content strategy, and how often should you be posting on that? Even if it's someone who's listening going, I am not a key opinion leader, I am not an expert in my field, what have I got to say? How do you advise on that kind of self-doubt?
I say not about your expertise. If you have some, you think, insights that's useful to another person, or maybe somebody posted something you like, so you can repost. Like these influencers or whoever you're following on LinkedIn have something that's so valuable that you feel like, this is something worth sharing, and I want to have, additional insights on that. Again, reposting without your comments dilute your value. So why not you say, normally in the past when I was starting, I would always follow Ariana Huffington. I love her. So she'll always talk about burnout and all. And then I will repost, but I will always add my comments.
This and
yes,
my take.
this is what Ariana said. I agree with it. And this is my additional take on it.
Especially in a place like Dubai, we can go, this came out of the States, but here's a regional take on what I'm seeing on the ground or with my clients or in my particular industry. Sure. Okay, this is useful. What about common mistakes before I let you get back to your busy day, Wanda? When it comes to the things that, maybe people trip up on, the things that make you cringe when you see them posted, whether it's photos or, I don't know, perspectives, where do some people get it wrong without intending to?
I think first, when people try to sound intelligent, it's so intelligent that, it's not you, it's AI. And, then that trust is actually gone already. And I think a lot of people, mistake intelligence with wisdom. Everybody have wisdom. But you have to be brave enough to just share what you know. Do it. I mean, there's so many things on LinkedIn. That's the biggest mistake. A lot of people don't know LinkedIn, but there's so many things that you can do there. Like, for example, just changing your banner, changing your headline, connecting with 100 to 300 people a week with the right people will bring you more than any networking event that you could attend to. Creating an event on LinkedIn, Helen, you can invite 1,000 people a week when you create a LinkedIn event. When you create a newsletter, automatically you position your brand, yourself, and create topics that you really love to talk about. Like, I started this newsletter about revenue audit in, I think, 2 weeks. In one day, I got 1,000 subscribers.
Wow.
In 2 weeks, I got about 3,000. And you love writing. People love, the best thing about it, people love to read. Because sometimes you feel like, nobody's reacting, nobody's, engaging with my posts. On LinkedIn, it's a very different platform. These are CEOs, executives. They will never like your post. They will never comment. But, when you go to this event, it's like, oh, you're Wanda. I'm reading everything that you did. So, why did you, it made me feel bad sometimes that I don't get engagement. But at the back of my mind, there's always these people who are actually silently following, and most of them are like that because this is how executives behave. They're not loud.
Honestly, I think this has been so valuable for a reframe on the platform, a bit of confidence building around LinkedIn, not feeling the imposter syndrome that so many of us feel, because we've all got to start somewhere. And as you say, we are all experts in some shape or form. And sometimes it takes someone like you, or sometimes it's a sit down with someone in your industry or someone in a completely different space to go, you're really amazing at that, right? Why aren't you talking about it more? Wanda, thank you so much. I've had a lot of people, unsurprisingly, wanting to connect with you.
Thank you.
She is very active on LinkedIn, spoiler alert. So if you want to send me the word connect, I will send you Coach Wanda of Catland Training and Consultancy, so you can avail of her many pieces of wisdom and intelligence on the platform. And of course, if you need some one-on-one or company advice, that would be the best place to start. Wanda, thank you so much.
Thank you, Helen, for
really, I promise we're going to talk off air about what I should put on my banner, because you are the woman to ask. Thank you.
Thank you.
More coming up next on Dubai Eye 103.8.
Your home of